answer with that long-range hyper carry for Doggo here in Jinx. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Certainly works in game number 1.
And it means that at least you have a little bit of range that, as you say, you can try and play at, but Zeri should still have a decent amount of push on that bot side. The ability to tear through the minions is just kind of nuts. So WeiWei kind of go back towards the Xin Zhao here. With Thresh banned away, I'm curious to see what's going to be paired for with Doggo for Crisp. I feel like the Leona probably still going to be high priority here for BLG. Just one, with how good Crisp looks on it, and two, being able to try and lock up this area is going to be pretty key.
Yeah, so WeiWei getting his MVP pick once more here. Side of LNG. LvMao could go for the Leona. I mean, Leona's just always good, right? I feel like there are very few drafts where Leona won't fit in. Doinb this time with Twisted Fate banned. He goes for the Ryze. We'll see if his CS hack is going to come out for this game. But now FoFo has to decide how he wants to deal with this. The other default global champion is gone. Maybe something like a Galio if they really want to just stop the roams.
The Galio, the Orianna can do pretty well. I think the Ori would be the big one for me. Again, like, always the opportunity to try and ban it away, but looks like Crisp is going to get his hands on the Rakan here, so definitely taking a back seat here for Doggo and Crisp in that bottom lane matchup, but it still will give it a lot of late game prowess to BLG, as we said, kind of their game plan. BLG now banning away the junglers because there's none locked in for LNG, whereas I feel like, as we say, like mid lane ban, setting up Doinb for success here is going to be the big play here for LNG.
First one of the day, but we've seen a few Rakan bans across the course of today. Finally going to be locked in, and Crisp, such an excellent. Well, this time, the Lee Sin taken away from Tarzan. So this whole mid-jungle 2v2 from last game for LNG now being targeted by BLG. So LNG, in some ways, being forced into a different style, but still, there's things like the Diego, even like the Trundle would be available for Tarzan if they wanted. It's a pick that we often have seen into Zhao as somewhat of an answer from
I'm curious though if we end up seeing something like a Corki come through. Corki's just kind of slipped through the ban based on an insanely strong pick, and if you see a Zeri, one of the ways to play around her is playing at range, right? Like trying to avoid the engage coming through from Leona and get that sort of like long range poke that can come through. Wouldn't be the worst. Like, yes, you will get pushed in early, and it can give moments for Doinb to roam, but if you actually manage to get to the late game, you're in such a strong position to be on.
We've said that sentence before once or twice, I think.
Yes. Yes.
BLG drafting for the late game. Who could have seen this coming? There's the Corki you were just talking about for FoFo. They've got a whole lot of range to work with and a whole lot of rockets to work with, as well as some fantastic engage tools coming out from Crisp and WeiWei to start these fights off. LNG now, they've got to figure out what the game plan is. They've got to lock something in that's going to set them up for success.
Camille locked in here. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I feel like you could still go through towards a Renekton here for Breathe, and it could work out really well, right? Because a lot of what LNG are trying to do is like super short range and like diving in on top of you. And you've got really, really good access to a lot of the backline there if you want to go towards it. Oh, sorry, Renekton, by the way. But I still think you like can go towards things like Gragas if you want to go for heal. But looks like instead Breathe is going to go towards this Akali. So looking to see if with this short range composition that LNG have gone for, he can just plant himself in the middle and say, hey, what do you want to do? You want to try and get onto both the Corki and the Jinx? Well, I'm just going to tear apart your back.
Oh, he's going to try at very least. We'll have to wait and see. Breathe on the Akali, LA on the Camille. Man, I told you, this top lane matchup, it was always going to be spicy, right? We talked about what happened in 2021. Both of these guys coming in over the last couple of years, really coming into their own, both changing their names in 2021, changing their identity beyond just the names as well. Now both revered top laners within the LPL, and once again, bringing these big spicy picks to the top lane. Camille versus Akali, and you just know that these mid laners, these junglers, are going to be getting involved in the top lane.
Especially when you're looking at Doinb once more on the rise, right? Like now, a bit of an easier time for him to get out the start to roam, but it is a big question for LNG of how well can they find these fights, because a lot of range on BLG's side. You're really looking at LvMao to set up these engages. Tarzan can do some, but it's still really difficult for Tarzan to try and set these up and like just run at a Corki and even Jinx with the jungles.
So can keep my eyes on Zeri as always, but I think that's just which champion came out most recently. Okay, probably Leona. There's an extent to which that's always going to be the way.
Abysmal.
Yeah, but I feel like she's an exceptionally high skill cap champion. She's one of these champions where I feel like the right player in the right situation will just be unstoppable. With the amount of movement speed you get, like how are you ever going to get hit by anything? But that said, no point and click CC on the side of BLG this game. So aside from the quickness coming out from Crisp, could be very difficult to lock down Light.
I also will take it back. She seems to be sitting at around 52%. Doing all right. But yeah, I think the biggest problem is that even if you like you don't have technical point and click, but you do have a Rakan, he just jumps at you. So a lot of stuff to try and like lock up Zeri, and I think as well the inability to have that super long range damage apart from like the slow one or W is still going to be pretty tough to deal with here. LNG definitely need to find ways to enable Zeri, because one of the big things that we talked about, like when we first saw Zeri step up the scene, is look, if you're just able to play at range, there's not a huge amount she can do.
Yeah, but whether or not she can play at range, that's the big question. There's a lot of range in this game actually, with the Jinx Corki on one side, Ryze and Zeri fairly short range. What is Alec doing? He's just like, you know what? This is my lane. I'm going to go all the way around through Tribrush. I'm going to start the lane with a 1v1 all in. Breathe in trouble here, but he's turning it back around. He's got Conqueror. He's got his Ignite burnt all the way through. Somehow, it's an even trade. Pure shenanigans to start us off now.
All right, I was trying to see which jungler was going to break first. Who was going to go up towards that top lane with both of them super low, but neither jungler willing to give up their farm to go towards it. So will be Breathe being pushed in. Ala having the biscuits there will actually be able to sustain up. So it's kind of a nice trade from Ala, realizing, look, Breathe will end up taking the Resolve tree secondary, so we'll actually have access to more of the sustain. So Ala, even though it was a weird and funky trade, gets the Summoner spell and still manages to out-sustain Breathe.
Crisp being a little cheeky here, spots out that the Krugs are still there, gets a very deep ward as well. We'll have to use the Grand Entrance just to get out to safety. Not sure if LvMao was going to be able to catch him, but not for the time being at very least. And honestly, I will say, just referencing that top lane trade that we saw again earlier on, I feel like in some ways does benefit Breathe, and all in on the bottom side, that's going to be cleanse out from Doggo. LvMao just getting some good damage in, getting some pressure in that bottom lane. I'm not going to get to talk about the top lane. We've got action all over the map. As Tarzan goes for an invade here, but WeiWei had already finished both the Wolves and the blue buff, I think. As oh, actually, no, the Wolves are up. Tarzan going to maybe find an opportunity to grab something as LvMao moves over as well. WeiWei just getting bullied out in this jungle.
I mean, has only finished off 4 camps on each side, though, so Tarzan obviously stealing away that. I honestly think for WeiWei, you just reset, go towards your Krugs, and try and see if you can pick up that scuttle on the top side, but try to see if you can stay here for the dive bot.
TP forced out here. That's got to be FoFo moving on in, but WeiWei had to rejoin the fray to try and save his team. Tarzan manages to flash out, setting FoFo. Chen changes that kill, chases it down, in fact. This is one jungler for one jungler. Like a real chaotic, real quick, and then immediately ended.
Does mean, though, the FoFo had to burn both the summoner spells in the engage, right? So when you look at the mid advantage, it's still going to be there for Doinb, and he can actually look to shove in a wave, reset, and maybe make another play either towards his top or bot side. Especially with Breathe, he actually hasn't managed to crash this wave, so potential freeze here in the top side where you can look to make a play with that summoner spell advantage. But you're looking here, WeiWei looking for the re-engage. LNG managed to get the jungler for BLG down, but it is at the cost of Tarzan, who had to take the brunt of the return damage from BLG.
Yes, he did. Ala, I think, still have the freezer from the top side. He's going to have to overextend if he wants to try and get in on that one. And this feels like, even though there's only been 2 kills in the first 4 minutes, which, you know, for some leagues is a record, but for here in the LPL, that's not very much. Even though there's not been that many kills, this feels like it has been a pretty high action. feels like the teams are trying to be proactive. Tarzan especially is trying to push WeiWei this game. WeiWei got the MVP in game number 1, had an amazing performance on this Xin Zhao. Tarzan had the counter pick in this jungle matchup. He chose Volibear, and so far it's working out.
At least they've been able to make like plays elsewhere, right? And deny a little bit of that farm from Doggo on the bot side. The big question mark for me though is like, what else can LNG pick up? Because a huge amount of their composition does revolve around Ala and Doinb off the side. So you want to still get the ball rolling. You want to make sure that you're like pushing in, working towards the Rift Tower that's going to be in 2.5 minutes, getting full control. And Doinb has reset now, got the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, so he's going to be looking to see if he can push in these waves and looking to use these like realm warps aggressively and get around the map as soon as possible.
Rakan started off by LNG here. A lot of priority in the bottom side for Light. And I just want to point out, Light currently 10 CS up in that bottom lane. And obviously, there was a dive. A lot of minions will have died to the tower during that. But still, impressive stuff from the bottom lane of LNG. Light and LvMao just give themselves a small advantage in the early game. Whereas the rest of the map, not so much of an advantage. It's only 300 gold between the two teams right now. As an all-in comes out from Ala in the top lane. Bree. I was going to say he's in trouble, but I guess not. Or maybe he is. The re-engage. Perfect execution comes on out. Ignite currently available. Bree not going to pull the trigger. Not wanting the 1v1 for now.
Still though, like the abilities that LA invested are still going to come back up, so Bree has to go for the reset. Ala's still bullying in this top lane, and Bree opted in towards this matchup, but you can see it isn't going so hot for him with WeiWei not actually able to get control of his own jungle, with Tarzan being able to steal away some of that CS. WeiWei can't impact the lanes in the same way that they were hoping for, so Tarzan kind of getting the better of the jungle matchup without hurting Bree on the top side.
Yeah, it's feeling rough for Bree. And this is the nature of the matchup to some extent, right? Akali takes a while before she really comes into her own. Camille certainly can trade very effectively in the early phase. Thanks to that leg sweep giving her that extra sustain and a bit of long range damage out as well. Bree, what about the all-ins? Ala moving in with Tarzan. It's time to invade once again. The red buff the target this time, and Tarzan has not given WeiWei a second to breathe. We talked about the CS deficit in that bottom side in favor of Light. Tarzan as well with a very similar lead jungle role, but now an all-in on the bottom side from LvMao and Light. Crisp the target, Ignite taken away, and it's a 2v2 kill. People have criticized Light and LvMao's laning phase. They're looking pretty good today.
LNG are just playing this really smartly. This is why we said there's always the ability for LNG to bounce back game 2. Push mid, push and bot, invade off that as well on the top side. Get these advantages. So WeiWei forced to invade here to try and get some sort of farm back. But if WeiWei's a non-factor in these games, thanks to the LNG playing off the wave stage, it makes it easier for you to just bully through your strong lanes, which is what we're seeing right now for LNG.
And it's really bad news, honestly, for BLG, because I mean, we saw it in the interview before the game started. We want to win through winning lanes. We want to win through bullying lanes. WeiWei was saying he loves his poppy pick, but only when he's got those winning lanes. Usually that's the case with BLG, but not today. LNG doing a really good job during this laning phase. It's a 1,000 gold lead in their favor, and a Herald on top of that. They already got the Drake. Next one up in 2.5 minutes, so they can get this Herald and still be there. It's a rocket attempt from Doggo, but it's too late.
And I'm curious to see now where Tarzan's going to put this. It feels like trying to build on Ala's strength in the top side would be probably best for them, especially if they can roam Doinb up there as well. Look for a dive with the Rift Tower will be really strong. You've already set up a good amount of vision control on this top side of the map. You can see just the back of BLG's red. There's a ward that allows for full vision. They've completely cleared out wards in River, apart from one that Bree just placed in that top side. So I feel like that's your best way to go as LvMao. Tried to see if he could skirt around the vision that was there, but not quite able to.
Yeah, not quite. Just get spotted out here. And so we kind of return to the status quo in this game where it's like, you know, quiet, but slowly but surely winning lanes in favor of LNG. Small advantages being built up. Obviously, the mid lane relatively even right now. Corki's certainly going to do well later on into the game. But for the time being, that bottom lane, slight lead in the top lane, slight lead in the jungle. These small leads starting to build up across the map in their favor. And that's good to see from LNG, right? Because it's a totally different story from what happened in game number 1 as Tarzan So it's with the idea of a dive in the mid lane. Sees better of it in the end. But yeah, game number 1, we saw super aggressive, proactive LNG and BLG finding every answer. Game number 2, it feels like LNG is saying, okay, BLG, you want to play the slow game? You want to play the scaling game? We'll just beat you in your own game.
But the thing is, right, like if you look at straight up scaling, I still kind of give the edge to BLG. Both the Jinx and the Corki. If team fights are occurring, it feels like it's a BLG edge. It's more so if LNG can like continue to power through this early stages to get control over sides, because BLG don't want to really be in side lanes. Like FoFo can do okay. Breathe will end up losing out to Ala eventually. So if they can actually keep their waves in check, keep these turrets in place, BLG are in an alright spot. It has to be LNG using this Riptail proactively, but Tarzan tried to see if he could make a play in top lane. Breathe back the hell away, wasn't going to give him that opportunity. Now Tarzan's making his way down to this bottom half of the map, and maybe with Doinb off of reset here, they can try and make something happen, but FoFo picking up the package for this dragon fight, that's what this is all going to be about.
BLG have decided it's time to make some plays for themselves. They're not just going to sit and watch this game escape them. The package for FoFo. We've seen some bad packages in the LPL. Let's see what FoFo can do with it. Realm Walk coming in from Doinb as he joins the rest of his squad. Crisp, though, with FoFo. Great engage here. Doinb in the middle of everyone. And WeiWei trying to survive. Gets the Drake for himself. And Doinb low on HP. Forced away. But Tarzan jumps in. Doggo still going strong. Doinb over the wall. Health bars low, but not finished as light. Chases the jungler down. Looks for Crisp as well. But the rest of the fight still occurring. FoFo low. Hit by the lightning, but might be able to escape here. Waiting for Valkyrie. Double comes through. Light with 2. Now maybe a dive. Tarzan drops a Herald. Crisp. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what he's going to be able to achieve on this one. Ala has arrived as well. Breathe TP's in. It's a full-on brawl, but Light might have stepped too far. Gets 1 kill for himself. Managing to survive, finally goes down. There's going to be another one. LNG winning out the fight here. 4 members strong. The charge comes in. Ala goes down for his trouble. But it's 7-3, and LNG will be happy with that.
And that's exactly what LNG needed. Finding that fight at the Dragon. BLG were the ones who started up. BLG were the ones who thought they could win it. But instead, Zeri now with 3 kills, that Triforce completed. Tower gone in the bot side. And we see it here. FoFo does a really good job of splitting up the fight here as Crisp goes in. But there's just not enough damage right now. Doggo and also FoFo are still trying to get time to build into the game. So LNG rightfully realized that, hey, look, where Light's right now, we can actually follow through in this. We can look to take these the fight to BLG. And BLG say have nowhere to run.
I think FoFo and Doggo retreat there together with Crisp. Maybe there's a world that they can move up to the tier 2, but committing to the defense here, Breathe TPing in as well. This was too much.
I agree. And definitely it was a case of like trying to mitigate losses rather than try to turn it around. Breathe coming in, like, there's just no added benefit there. He still ends up trying, yes, get the kill back, right? But you're still going to lose that bot lane turn. You're still going to be a TP behind. And especially as we're coming up to the 14-minute mark. Oh, hang on, Ala. As we come up to the 14-minute mark, Ala can still look to, like, make these TP plays. So now Zeri can be way more aggressive on the top side. As you can see, like, she's going to be able to get this turret. And if you try to make a play towards her, you have that numbers advantage for LNG.
I like the attempt there coming out from Doggo, trying to clear the way with the rocket to stop the push, but the tower goes down. That's more plays for Light, as you're saying. Meantime, Doggo doing the same. Realm Warp comes down. More action on our screens, Dagda. Ala trying to chase for these kills. Has Text Ultimatum on cooldown for the time being. Solarflare comes on in as the rest of the fight immediately kicks off. But Doggo's going strong. His lethal tempo is stacked, and he's starting to get them resets. That's a couple of kills coming on through for the side of BLG. And they continuously buying more gold for Doggo.
They just needed to take their win where they had it. LNG had gotten the play on top side. They got the turret. All you need to do is look to defend that bot lane structure. Instead, they end up giving kills over to BLG. Now, Light will get mid lane turret for the cause. And all of the gold now lies on that Zeri. How hard can Light carry? Because the rest of LNG ain't looking so hot. You can see here, right? FoFo already on his way down. Chris, brilliant engage here. Gets a ton of CC off with the charm. And also then still having the grand entrance here to just follow up and set up Doggo and FoFo once more. 2 kills now apiece to the big carries on BLG. That was not what LNG wanted to gift away.
And you know, Doggo getting a lot of gold in these last couple of fights, but still almost 1,000 gold behind Light. Like, he's getting kind of fed, but he's just less fed than what Light is on the other side of the scoreboard, which is a scary concept to have to look at, because Zeri can do a lot of damage when you manage to get yourself ahead individually as well. So definitely looking towards Light in these fights. But as you're rightly saying, Light wasn't on the right side of the map. So ultimately, LNG trying to take that fight, perhaps a bit of a mistake from their side.
The good news for LNG, though, is, like, thinking about side lanes, now all out of turrets are down. Ala is in a reasonably good spot. Your Ryze is in a pretty good spot. Light's super far ahead. So if you look at the ability to actually play through side lanes, you're actually doing pretty alright. Even a dragon apiece means you can pretty much ignore this Cloud Dragon as it comes up and look to try and use this Rift Tower to take some of the tier 2s instead of just being happy with the tier 1s. And that's why I look at Doinb and Ala straight off into these side lanes, trying to see if they can create pushes and now congregate towards the mid lane with Tarzan having that Rift Tower.
FoFo wants to go on Ala, but I'll find his opportunity there. He's missing everything, so he's going to stay around in this bottom side. He's picked up his package for the Drake that's spawning. Tarzan is just going to slam a Herald in the mid lane. And that means LNG now basically say, hey, you commit to that dragon. We're just going to take your tier 2 mid tower instead. Light's certainly capable of taking these towers down pretty damn quickly. And I think that's a trade that LNG are going to be very happy to make.
They can even realm warp to the top side if they want to. Honestly, maybe that is the play. Yeah, there we go. Realm warp straight up to the top lane. They're going to get 2 towers for this. And again, this is a great trade for LNG. They don't care about the dragon. They're all about getting less structures on the map so they can restrict the access BLG have to them.
It's going to be the tower so close to going down. 1 or 2 more autos finishes the job. 1 Cloud Drake for 2 tier 2 towers. This is a massive issue for BLG. There's not many macro trades that you see that go this badly, especially when it's between top teams. This is not what you're used to seeing, but Ala, that was a great ulti on to Breathe here. Breathe is going to lose the 1v1. Perfect execution just to escape as both mid laners arrive a little too late.
A lot of members of BLG down on this bot side. At least on BLG's side, getting that TP out of Doinb makes things a little bit easier to manage, but still, the damage has been done. Mid tier 2 gone, and alongside top means that you can get easy vision control for LNG on this top side of the map, especially with how large Light is. You've got to respect that in the mid lane push. And if that's going to be the case, cool. Ala has easy job when he's able to spot out BLG members on top side of pushing the bot. You can see he's still beating out Breathe in the 1v1s. This game is looking very quickly out of control for BLG.
Feel a little bit like game number 1 did, just the other way around. Dagda, we could be going for a 9-game day at this rate if LNG are able to grab this win for themselves. Currently, 4,000 gold up. It's a significant lead at 18 minutes. It's certainly not over, but it's certainly an advantage. LvMao getting caught out will not help with that, though. Oh, the stopwatch stops Doggo stealing away the kill. It's not going to stop the dog that FoFo's riding from getting that kill, though. Corki getting one on the scoreboard, but WeiWei has to sacrifice himself just to keep that Corgi's little cute butt alive.
1 for 1 now in that trade, and that's not what you wanted. BLG thinking, hey, look, we can make this quick pick, but the LNG just able to collapse too fast with Doinb having that realm warp. And now BLG, you can see the stress is starting to show. Push now in the bottom side of the map. Doinb shoving in the mid, and they can always try and collect themselves in this mid lane and look for the push. Doggo can't be alone on this bot side for fear of being doped by several members.
It's a tough line for an AD carry when you're against a Camille and a Volibear. You never really safe on the side lane. Breathe gonna move in, but the Everfrost from Doinb gets the red buff. That would have been the last ability I would have expected to finish that one off. But hey, if it works, it works. 5,000 gold lead for LNG now at this point. Doesn't feel like that's slowing down anytime soon. Keep your eyes on Light as we continue in this game. He's the guy who's going to be carrying these fights. And it's 30 seconds until that Baron comes out onto the board. I feel like LNG are in a position where they can start to fight for vision control of that. And even at 20 minutes, they can threaten the idea.
Especially if you're trying to get vision in these close quarters jungle corridors, like, Zeri's gonna shred you. Runa's Hurricane early on the way, Titanic Hydra already complete, like, that would be perfect for Light. You would get so much damage off there, and it then becomes negligible that you got the range because there's so much splash damage that Zeri's able to put out. As LvMao, can you not?
LvMao's caught again. Name a more recurring story in the LPL right now, honestly. LvMao's gonna die. There is no recourse for LNG on the back of this play. BLG maybe have an opportunity for Baron. Ala on the other side of the map does have the improved teleport at this point. Tarzan barely dodges the knock-up. Nice little fancy footwork. I can't believe the charm didn't hit, honestly. With Tarzan escaping, I think that's enough for LNG to be able to deter the Baron. And at the same time, they still have Ala pushing. This could turn positive for the side of LNG. Just being able to stop the recalls now, but they've overcommitted. They might have gone too far for this one. Doinb trying to get damage down. It's a 3v5, 4v5 as Ala now rejoins the fray and finds a kill for himself. Blast cones out! What is that, Ala? That was beautiful is what it was. Doinb walks away. LNG, they're absolute miracle workers.
Tarzan did go down in the back of that fight though. Breathe managing to pick up the 1-for-1 there, so is still a favorable trade for LNG, but that had absolutely no right to be. The fact that Tarzan managed to, as you say, like dodge that CC in the mid lane is the only reason that BLG were not able to completely wipe and turn towards Baron there. You see it here, right? This is where Tarzan goes forward, but watch Breathe, right? Breathe is a really good flank here. Tarzan goes super low, even managing to get on towards Light, but when he goes through, just not having enough damage with Doinb and everyone else there. So whereas Ala is able to kind of pick his target and run the hell away, Breathe can only go in and not get him back out anytime soon. Dragon is up though, no position on the map for LNG to try and push in elsewhere, so BLG should be able to just take this Dragon and still pick up their waves and positions. They just need to be careful of a Baron rush coming through from LNG.
And I think crucially as well, like if Breathe is able to get onto Light there, there's this 500 gold shutdown available to him. And he only managed to get the kill onto Tarzan, and that's just not enough to make the trade worth it. LvMao, he entered to make that last play a viable play. Is he going to do it again for the side of LNG? They're just going to go for the Baron. They're just going to take it before the engage even happens. WeiWei was too late. And now the fight ensues. Can BLG answer for the Baron? It's been taken away. LvMao already fell, but can the rest of the team goes out? There's the shutdown. FoFo getting the gold. Another kill. And suddenly this feels real good for BLG.
Oh, why did we Baron flip? Why do we have to go for it? LNG, just take it slow. You have so much that you can play with. Win on sides, win in fights, usually. But because they overcommit for the Baron, you give so much wiggle room for BLG. The damage is able to come out so quickly. And now BLG, they may not have the Baron, but they're the ones that are going to take the turrets.
And they got the shutdowns crucially as well. Both Doinb and Light going down. Another play, it's just pure chaos as Doggo is eradicated. Big bear on his face. There's not a lot of recourse for an AD carry in that kind of situation. Nicely done by LNG. They keep their towers alive, and crucially, they stop BLG getting the bounty.
Yeah, not able to solidify that. You can see here, WeiWei flashes in, but not able to get into the pit fast enough to try and steal that away. But see Breathe and WeiWei jumping in, managing to pick up the kill on the top side. FoFo has this package as well, which he just about manages to get in onto Light before he goes golden. And Doinb tries his damnedest to be able to round warp away, but first with the knock-up. So nicely done by BLG, just being able to find that. But with LNG now back in the driver's seat, 2 members strong on this bot lane tower, and LvMao playing keep away. BLG need everything they can to deal with these Baron buff minions, because you still have it on the Camille and also on this on Tarzan.
All right, I feel like the pace of the game is only going to increase at this point, so I want to take a second while we have it, recap where we're at. LNG, 6,000 gold lead, but on the side of BLG, they're 1 Drake away from a solo. That's 2.5 minutes time. BLG is going to be able to recall. I think he'll get away with this one in the meantime. BLG just trying to regain control of the bottom half of the map here. Talk to me about what you're wanting to see from these two teams, Dagda, because I feel like we've got into really chaotic waters, and I'm not even sure who's winning anymore.
Yeah, so LNG definitely still in the driver's seat, right? Because they've got control over side lanes, they're going to be in a pretty good spot. The problem is 40 seconds left on their Baron. They're probably not going to be able to get too much. Maybe it's mid lane off the push, but 3 items nearly cresting for both FoFo and Doggo. If BLG can set up easy fights, they can win them.
Tower going down for LNG, and I mean, forget the fights. LNG's just going to waltz on it with the Baron. I guess it was worth it after all. They're going to be able to grab those for themselves. FoFo at least got a tier 1 tower at the bottom side. Hey, there was a bounty on it. It's silver linings at this point, apparently, for BLG as WeiWei now starts to fight onto Tarzan to kick this one off. Doinb, in fact, flashing over the wall, low HP. Can this be the fight for BLG? FoFo has to carry. He's the one with the gold. He was the one getting the bounties. But everybody gets out from LNG. Again, the miracle workers. Is there anything they can do wrong aside from the Baron flip?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a couple things wrong, but they just should be getting punished more. That's the big thing, right? Like, they stay around in that top side. They are allowing the engage to come through for BLG, especially like with how separated they were. That's where BLG should be able to use their range to the advantage, but somehow LNG still managed to get out, and now they've got that top inhibitor down. A minute until the dragon should mean that the minions will be in place to make sure that BLG can't really contest, but we'll have to see if BLG honestly want to. I think their team fight is definitely strong enough now with like 3.5 items on FoFo. You should have the Lord Dominic's Regard finished for Doggo as soon as he resets, but the team fight is there for BLG. It's just finding good access to those fights that they're struggling with.
That's the thing, like they have so much range and so much damage, but it doesn't feel like they ever get a long enough period of time on one target to make it work. But the thing is, it only gets better. Again, revisiting the conversation of scaling, you said it earlier yourself. If the fights are a 5v5, if these carries can just hit away, BLG can win a 5v5 later on into the game. And look, we're only just getting to the point where Doggo is on the 3 items. So yes, massively behind line on Zeri, but still scaling. It can get better. Ala has gone way too far forward on this one. A rocket goes shy though. In the meantime, the rest of LNG have dived onto BLG's backline with the charm across from Chris. It's not enough though. LNG getting forced away on this one. Diving now underneath the towers. BLG lose their health bars, but Doggo's still going. Doggo's still scaling, and Doggo's blasted some rockets. His Breathe finds time in the backline. Doinb low on HP. The Zap barely misses, and Breathe goes down instead. Light still going strong though. FoFo and Doggo left alone as the Drake will be the reward for LNG.
God, it's on a nice edge this whole time, though. FoFo have to use that package defensively. They still manage to get the pick on Ala, they get the pick on LvMao, but they trade 3 members of BLG back, and still LNG come out on top. The Dragon consolation prize, I don't think the Dragons really matter for LNG right now, but we'll see it here, right? FoFo has to instantly burn the package for fear of Ala ulting him. WeiWei not quite able to connect with the Wind Becomes Lightning, means he can't follow Ala. And then Doggo here is in a wonderful spot. Like, the amount of damage he's getting off the Runes Hurricane, Kraken Slayer, auto attacks is insane. But because FoFo put himself in harm's way to try Ala, he's basically not a factor in these fights. The Rocket's doing some work, but he's just not able to connect enough to really make that damage stick and enable Doggo to get excited.
Man, look how mental these fights are. This is absolutely balmy. You got the top laners on both sides diving into the backline. Both AD carries getting crazy movement speed and charging around everywhere. Everyone just desperately trying to survive and trying to just brawl it out. Now another brawl for the Baron here as BLG group up once more. Ala behind enemy lines, but needs to be cautious. Cannot afford to be caught out again. Bit of zapping, bit of lasering over the wall here. Looks like LNG having to back away from the Baron for the time being. Their bluff has been caught.
The poke, though, from BLG, if it can stick, is going to be pretty crucial. BLG, though, is forced to back away. They can't contest Ala and the Baron at the same time, so Ala doing a really good job of trying to zone BLG. FoFo heading back towards the base, but that's the go button.
LvMao's engaged, but Doggo just going to be able to use this cleanse. It's not much of an engage, is it? Doinb now trying to get onto Chris. Ala behind them on enemy lines here. But FoFo still going strong with the rockets. Chris goes down. BLG having to retreat up towards the top side of the map here, but it doesn't seem to matter. Tarzan charging on through. Doggo's golden, but for how long? Not long enough. Doinb taking them down. A double kill. Make it 3 as LNG finally finish off the squad of BLG, and TP is channeled, and celebrations across the faces of the LNG players. That will be game, and that means, Dagda, we're going to the 9-game day here on our Sunday. We're having everything we could have wanted out from LNG and BLG. We're going to a decider.
9 kills on the Zeri to celebrate the 9-game day. Sunday fun day coming through hot in the LPL. And honestly, LNG, a well-deserved win there. Early game, Tarzan was a monster in dictating the pace of the game, getting those invades, shutting down WeiWei, stopping WeiWei from having any sort of impact in the early stages. And it meant that